Hey, welcome to Ink and Insights Episode 2, our weekly comic book highlight reel, where we talk about the books that we loved and the books that you might have missed. I'm joined, as always, with my buddy here, Stu. Stu, man, how you doing?
Station, brother. I'm doing great, man. So glad to
Yeah?
join you tonight. Yeah. Getting
Dude.
nice and frosty in my neck of the woods, starting to chill out a little bit.
I'm jealous,
Definitely.
dude. We've been dealing with 100-degree weather all week, and it has
Wow.
sucked. We've been cooped up inside, so I would take frosty weather.
Yeah, man. This is the first week it's finally started to feel like fall, and that is always such a great thing to me. Going to the pumpkin patch on Friday with the kiddos. Gonna be chaperoning that trip, so I'm hyped for that. But yeah, man. Happy to be here with you, brother.
Hell
How
yeah,
you
dude.
doing?
Get your pumpkins, get your caramel apples on.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong
man.
with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, dude, how'd you feel about this week's comics?
A lot of bangers, a lot of surprises. I thought DC really was DC stole the show for me. I thought that really had a impressive coming out party. I was really blown away by them and the things they got on deck in the future. And this week, absolute Batman dropping and so many big things coming this fall. So yeah, I think they were definitely the talk of the town. But yeah, it was a great week. Ghostmachine had a new #1, which we'll get into. Indies showed up. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like it was a more interesting week than it was a fantastical week, right? Like it was a lot of things that made you go like, "Oh, I didn't expect that to hit as hard as it did." But before we get into all this stuff here, let's see who we got hanging with us here. We got our buddy Rogue, Station Rogue.
Station Bro.
Nice to see you, buddy. And we got Nate from Hyde Comics, man. Nate, how you doing, buddy?
We're gonna talk about it next
Right.
week, bro. We're gonna talk about Batman next week.
Next week is going to be Buck Wild, without a
it
shadow
is.
of a doubt. It's going to be
Absolutely.
Buck Wild.
But I will say, just to super abridged version, I loved it though. I did love my read.
I'm saving my opinions. I'm gonna keep it
All
on
right.
the down low for
You're gonna
right
go?
now
Okay.
here
All
up until the time hits
I
here.
respect it.
But hey, man, without further ado here, let's talk about the House of Ideas here. Stu,
Yeah.
you mind if I knock things out first here?
Go ahead, bro.
All right, dude. So my pick for Marvel here is going to be Ultimate Black Panther #9. This book was pretty damn awesome, if I'm being honest here. I kind of love what Brian Edward Hill is doing because it's burn, but it's something that is like, I don't know. It's something. There's something cinematic about it. There has a movie quality to it, and I think it's probably because he has a background in screenwriting. But I feel like more than any other book, possibly from Marvel right now, it feels like it's just like it's a movie you're watching, right? Like his pacing is perfectly for the way that you would anticipate a movie playing out. But this issue kind of revolves around plot A and plot B, and the first one here is talking about Storm and Killmonger. My favorite part about this is that we know Killmonger in the 616 as a villain, basically, right? We know him from the movies as a villain. We know Storm. Storm is like the most heroic of heroes, right? At most times. And this is playing with a lot of different notions of kind of flipping that script a little bit, man, because Killmonger, he wants to help T'Challa, like without a shadow of a doubt, man. He's
I love
leaned
that.
in.
I loved how like
Right?
she was seeding doubt. You know what I mean? She's like, "Are you sure we should trust him? We're not serving this dude. I feel like we're in too deep on somebody we don't even know." And he was like, "I gave the man my word." So I completely agree,
Yeah.
dude. I love that character flip and how he was the one. Normally Storm's always the moral backbone, especially like your history with X-Men, always the leader and the one we can rely on. I thought it was an interesting, definitely twist in that dynamic. Good call.
Yeah. It's just so interesting seeing someone that leans into like doing something for the betterment of humanity or just society, whatever, and being like, "You sure you want to do this, dude?" And the other thing about Brian Edward Hill's writing too is the dialogue just feels so natural. I love, the little panel that I pop out here is like, there's kind of little light jabs, like bickering back and forth, and she's just like, "You're in a mood today, aren't you?" That's just I love little stuff like that, man. It makes it feel so natural and so like in place.
Yeah.
But the other thing that we got going on,
the assault too on that complex was super dope. I love the like the pixelated like faces on the characters and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I thought that was it was awesome. I love seeing those two in action, working as a team, and just like, you know, taking out the bad guys. That always works for me. It's simple, but they do it so well in this series.
Yeah, and I'm kind of kicking myself. I went back and forth about grabbing one of those things, but it was really interesting how they had those pixelated faces over the you know, the characters or whatever. It was totally like an After Effect, right? Because you can't do that, just pencil and paper, but a really cool effect. So the other plot that we got going on is all about Moon Knight in this Ultimate Universe and T'Challa, and I love how he's got like this total religious zealot vibe to him. Like he's almost like a cult leader, like drawing these people in, just enticing them, like just to go after Wakanda. Like, these are the people that have held your resources away from you. These are the people that have held your livelihood away from you. Like, and you want to stand with them? Like, it's hard. Like, I mean, come on, would you be drinking the Kool-Aid? I might be. I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly. No, and like I love that how he, you know, I forget who he was talking to, but T'Challa was like, you know, these people believed in Wakanda and, you know, or counted on Wakanda, and we let them down. You know, they're, you know, he can understand their indignation and their, you know, their ability to follow somebody like you know, country like this. I love this panel you included, how the Panther suit was like compelling him to strike right then. He was like the Panther.
Right.
The suit wants me to jump on this guy, but he held it back. But yeah, dude, that was a definite dope moment. I love seeing him kind of like undercover and realizing, you know, it's been a grassroots thing, you know, and he's winning the war with the civilian population and you know, the war of ideals, and that's going farther than he had anticipated, I think, than he was ready to admit to himself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, you could tell that Moon Knight has the hearts and minds of the people, but like it was nice seeing T'Challa, you know, kind of fight against his instinct. He's like, no, I got to be the king first before I'm Black Panther. And like, obviously we know that's the wise move, right? Like, you know, like, go ahead, take the L here so that you can win the war. But again, like, he's setting up all of these dramatic things, and it's a lot of the books that I feel like from the Ultimate line, it's a detriment to them because they kind of take place as a snapshot in time from a month's period. But I feel like Ultimate Black Panther does a really successful job of giving you the right snippet at the right time, where books like Ultimate X-Men is really fun, right? And it's fantastic, but it's super divisive. And Spider-Man, the dialogue is really nice, but I feel like sometimes they don't choose that right moment. It's just like, really, this is how we're going to spend our 22 pages? 18 pages. It's Marvel, let's be honest, because there's a buttload of ads. But anyway, I gotta show
I read this one on the internet, and there was a great comment. I forget who it was. Somebody commented afterward, this series has been a frustrating mix of, oh my God, would something please happen to, oh my God, what the hell just happened? I feel like that's a great
I feel
like
that is a perfect way. Yeah,
absolutely.
God, it's just so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
All right. I think that is what I had for my Marvel pick here. Do you have anything else you wanted to say about Ultimate Black Panther?
No, man, it's good to see Caselli back, you know, or you know, on it. I just love his Black Panther look and that design of the costume. So,
well, and that's another thing. Besides Peach Momoko, who is obviously like spearheading everything about Ultimate X-Men, Stefano Caselli has been the second most I don't know, like steadfast artist on the Ultimate line. Like, he's basically been on the book all but maybe 1-2 issues, something like that. So
they've done a good job. I think managing the artists and the aesthetic across those books for the most part. You know, it's been shaky here and there, but I think they've done a pretty good job of keeping it even keel.
Yeah, when Stefano was on the book, though, you could tell, just like I was talking about with the writing being cinematic, I feel like the visuals are just equally as cinematic. It really builds that, like the 3 panels you see here with the claws and the mouth and back to the claws kind of retracting, showing he's pulling back. Love it.
Yeah, he's the best.
So, dude, you ready to talk about your Marvel book?
Sure.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and announce what do you got for your Marvel?
My Marvel book is the DC All In special.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm abandoning the House of Ideas. The DC All In special. There was nothing at Marvel that that brought me in like DC did, dude. It was all about Detective Comics for me this week. So I've been dying to talk about this one with you.
All right, so well, I think we've answered the question. How did the House of Ideas hold up? Not quite this week.
Nah,
Let's
it
go ahead
was
and
just
shift gears.
Yeah, it was just Ultimate Black Panther for me, for real.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, dude, and I'm so glad that you chose this issue, man. Go ahead, take care of business here. What do we got?
So I'm not going to do as nearly an eloquent or articulate job of you as summing up these issues, but we got we have the Alpha and the Omega. We have essentially the same story from two different perspectives here, right? And it's we got Williamson and Snyder together on writing duties, and on the Alpha side of the story, we got Daniel Sampere, I believe, on artwork, and that's the clean, happy, we're doing Justice League Unlimited. We're bringing everybody in. Everybody you get a card, and you get a card, and you're a member, and everybody's welcome, right? We're bringing everybody. We're throwing a party in the new Watchtower. It's lit. Like it's gonna be an event. Like we know we need to coming out, and we'll get to Absolute Power here in a minute, but coming out of that, we know we need to change things up and do things differently, and this is our first step in doing so. And so it's cool. Like you have that Sampere aesthetic, which kind of matches that upbeat, bright, positive general vibe of that story, at least for a little bit. And then that's him there on the left, though. I loved his, this dark side Spectre that eventually shows up and is ravenous for this piece of information that's being withheld from him, right? And they don't really know what he's talking about. They're just they are I thought really able to kind of figure things out on the fly and pull the bond from the Spectre out of Darkseid, and he thinks Superman is able to get advice from these magic users and stop this bond from the Spectre. But essentially Darkseid is bonded with the Spectre. He has become death itself, and he is on this unending, hungry quest for this piece of knowledge that has been kept from him. He's felt this surge of power, and he wants answers, and he's stopping at nothing to get it. And we're at the Alpha side of the story is really the second half of the story, and the Omega is from Darkseid's point of view and how he eventually ends up in the Justice League Watchtower and how those events go down. But yeah, essentially Darkseid shows up, and rains on everybody's parade. They're able to release him from the bond of the Spectre, and they think at least somewhat stop the bleeding. But there's a rip in space and time. They know shit is real. Obviously, things have changed. And then we go into my favorite part of the story. Really, my favorite comic of the week, I think, was the Omega side of the story with Wes Craig on artwork, man. And this is just all the Kirby goodness you could want, right? Like, this was incredible.
I mean, yeah, that panel that's on the left here with all the impossible Kirby mechanics and all the crazy zigzags and so I was talking. So I picked up my comics this morning, and I was talking to the shop owner a little bit. And I was just like gushing over this, going like, no one in current comics was a better choice to emulate Kirby than Wes Craig. And like in this issue, just not only proves it, but I mean, it hits you over the head with a hammer to prove it, because it just hits so hard.
Yeah, and this story was so raw and razor sharp, I thought, man, and it was so like so in the vein of Darkseid. And I just love his hunt for this piece of information, going to the dark side of the moon and confronting Eclipse. So I love Wes Craig's art, how the his Omega beams just kind of like they go from those those tight lines to just kind of loose and just kind of fall apart. I just love there were so many scenes in this that I just loved and adored. But yeah, I love the storyline, like him building this machine out of his own blood, and just his quest for this. It's so Darkseid, and there were so many epic parts with creatures like Swamp Thing saying Darkseid is and stuff like that. It was yes. There was so many great powerful moments, man, and it was just such a breath of fresh air. Kind of Absolute Power was okay, but like this pick me up coming up out of it, and just like what we have to look forward to with the Absolute Universe and the way this set it up. and the way it explained it to us, I thought was so well done, and just such great storytelling. And I loved, one of my favorite parts was like on the alpha side of the comic, there's like, I forget, there's like these Kirby Crackle types of surges of energy, and it's burning holes in the pages, right? And you can see the Wes Craig artwork through the holes in the pages, right? Like, and like it corresponds with like, you know, the first or second page that it's representing. I just thought like little stuff like that, man. This comic was chock full of them. And it's yeah, I thought it set the table so well for what we have going into the fall, and has me super hyped. It really, like, my excitement went from 0 to 150 just off this Wes Craig artwork alone. But yeah, man, how did you feel about the story,
dude?
The story, just before we get to the art,
like, the structure of the issue was just like pitch perfect, because it wasn't just like, you know, like a side A, side B flip book or anything like that. I feel like it was really thoughtful in the way they laid the story out, because it was cyclical, right? We get presented the story that kind of like, it was a really great baton handoff from Absolute Power over to the DC All-In Special, where it's like, you know, they handled Amanda Waller, everything's all good, and we'll go more into depth on that issue a little bit later. But you know, everything's all good. They've kind of established, hey, we need a higher power in regard to the threat levels that are coming in the DCU, so we have to have the Justice League Unlimited. And it's like everything's bright and shiny and wonderful. And sure enough, a portal opens, and there, boom, is Darkseid like we've never seen him before, with a sickle for a freaking hand, with the hood, bonded with the Spectre. And like you were saying, you get those burnout pages from the, you know, from the beams on the page, and you can kind of see the background of it. So they handle Darkseid in present day, only to have Booster Gold go back in time to see all this take place, and to take witness of Darkseid coming to power, to be bonded with the Spectre, to go back into time or go through the portal to get killed, for him to go back. So again, the structure of it, it's like, this is like, you could keep flipping this book over and over and just keep reading it nonstop. And I think, so that structure alone is awesome. But I think that tying that into the notion of Darkseid, you know, because what is Darkseid saying? Darkseid is, right? And that's so true in this issue, because it is never ending. Darkseid dies, but Darkseid lives, and then Darkseid dies, and Darkseid lives. Darkseid is, right? He's ever present in this issue, and it's so freaking awesome. I loved it so much, and it totally like just blew me away, man. I wasn't expecting to dig this at all.
No, for sure. It was so great. I love how, you know, he a couple of those times he says finally, just like the insidious intent that he says that with, like the, where was it? I think on the I think the slide before, and I just like the love the way they frame the letters on that, man. But killing
which is kind of again hilarious, because he's just popping through. His first words are finally. It's just like he's gone through this journey that we don't get to experience until much later. It's awesome.
It is such a great look. Yeah.
You know, and the really exciting thing is we haven't even talked about what the hell any of this leads to, right? Which is the absolute freaking universe.
I love right? Like we get his narration to kind of set it up at the end, right? Like the world where Hope is the underdog, like it's going to be in his image, a reality where I can finally become what I was meant to be, unleashed and grow 1,000 feet tall. Like my voice will shake planets, a reality where Darkseid will be. And I love seeing Wes Craig's, like, look at the Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman, so killer, man, so good. I just want to see
in
more
my
and
opinion,
more of him in the DC universe, man.
Wes Craig could do no wrong.
Seriously,
he can't.
This is just incredible, and the Superman looks super dope too. Probably like my least favorite out of these three designs, but still, very interested to see like where it goes, and you know, where it's gonna, you know, outside of, I don't know, do you know how many issues each these Absolute series are gonna be?
As far as I know, their build is ongoings. This is a new initiative. They're rocking with this.
Hell yeah, dude. I know we got Jeff Lemire on Absolute Flash. I mean, there's some, right?
The rumor mill that's been churning these things out I think we have a lot more really cool stuff coming down the pipeline if it all comes to fruition. But yeah, Jeff Lemire on the Flash, that could be killer. The other rumor, I think it was Al Ewing on Green Lantern and Dennis Camp on Martian Manhunter. And like, sign me up. And I've never liked these characters. Like, I mean, Green Lantern I messed with back in the 90s when Kyle Rayner took over the ring, but I'm not a DC head, man. And this is the first time since Future State that I've really kind of been like, I gotta take notice because something special could be happening here.
Yeah, I love Martian Manhunter as a character. I think there's immense potential there. So yeah, definitely excited to see what. Let me ask you this: how do you, and to frame it like in Marvel versus DC, and initiatives, and you know, I guess a unified presentation from the publisher. Who do you think? Like, I feel like it's really no contest right now. I feel like Marvel's kind of just scattered. They do have some things going, and you know, they have a fire going over there, and you know, something going over there. But I feel like DC's, you know, and the thing I love about DC too is like you see the AEW promotion, like they're promoting it in wrestling and they're trying to reach out and get these young kids involved. And like I feel like they're really taking initiatives to present like a unified front and to keep old fans happy and to bring in new readers with this. And I think they got a lot of good things going. Especially compared to the House of Ideas right now.
Well, and that's the thing too, and it's like I don't think it's any fault to the creator. I don't know the answer to this, right? But what it feels like is that Marvel is resting on their laurels because they got Disney behind them. Maybe they thought that that the MCU was gonna just let them ride on the coattails for a little bit, but nothing exciting is really coming out of Marvel right now. If I'm looking at solicits, you know, nothing's really blowing my hair back, for lack of a better term. But
there's like the Ultimates, and you know, some of these Ultimate books are solid. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. Nothing like that's really blowing me away.
Yeah. Well, before we officially jump into the DC books here, since this
for
was
sure, yeah.
Let's see who else we got rocking with us tonight.
Absolutely, man.
We got our boy Chill. What's up, man? That's not really Darkseid. That's just a puppet on the string of the true dark side of tennis shoes. Okay, yeah. Station Chill, how you doing?
Station, bro.
What we got? We got Nate saying, I absolutely loved Absolute Batman. That said, I have a hard time seeing these books being long-term. I want them to be short-term awesome because I can't see them keeping it up. You know, that's actually a good statement, right? Because that's the problem with all of these books is that, you know, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become
just
a
make
villain,
it like
right?
an Earth One
Batman.
Yeah, just give us like a couple of volumes here and there. It doesn't have to be. I don't need the ongoing and dilute it, you know.
Yeah. Tell a nice, concise story and then get the heck out, man. Don't stick around past your welcome here. What else we got? We got Sal
Station.
Sal Station, buddy. Nice to see you.
Oh yeah. Bro.
All right. Well, let's hop into my first official pick of the DC books. Actually, I take that back. You're staying in the driver's seat here, man. Why don't you go ahead and talk about Absolute Power?
Yeah, Absolute Power number 4, man. I just this was a gorgeous issue to read. It kind of no huge surprises. You know, we got our final showdown with Amanda Waller. Oliver Queen turned out to be, you know, the mole, which we all knew was coming. But
get out of here. What? Good guys are good guying?
Yeah, there's a couple hokey things. I didn't like the whole recording her speech. I kind of like that was so corny. I kind of loved it and hated it at the same time. But it seemed on par because you were just kind of waiting for Amanda to lose her shit. And so, but yeah, you know, all our heroes band together, you know, and attack Amanda and her multiversal armory. They find a way to disable the Amazo robots, courtesy of Batman, of course. I love the you know, Oliver Queen was able to infiltrate Amanda's I guess like truly make her think that he was truly a believer with the help of Martian Manhunter. And I love my favorite moment of the comic was Batman admonishing Martian Manhunter for concealing plans from him, and then the Martian Manhunter being like, "I know you ain't talking, bitch." You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That was hilarious.
Yeah,
But yeah,
pocket
dude.
black Batman.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. But dude, it was just Dan Mora to me was the superstar of this issue. Just so many great pages. You could tell he's having fun. This guy is, I think, really, along with Mark Waid, to really thank for this DC Renaissance and really kickstarting things. I mean, obviously you got Josh Williamson, I think was really the torchbearer there when they didn't have anybody after Tinian and Snyder left. But I think, Waid and Mora have really helped, put them back on top in a big way. And yeah, it's just been, it's been wonderful to see. I love Mora's artwork, dude. That scene right there on the right when they all got their powers back, like that was just gorgeous, man. That's just
and I think you're right about Mark Waid too. I think that since he rejoined DC, right, when Dan Didio left, or whatever happened, and he finally decided to come back, I feel like this has been a long time coming. This has been something that's been in the making, because like my biggest takeaway from the whole Absolute Power event has been that it feels very 2000s Marvel. It feels like, like things have been in play and it has consequences, and it's going to be like something leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing. It's kind of like, Bendis, like everything that Bendis did at Marvel. It was just like,
there's a lot of Age of Ultron, a lot of Ultron-y vibes with it for me.
Yeah, and it makes me excited for what they're going to do too, because like this, it wasn't like the greatest event of all time, but it was impactful in the way that it like felt like the funnest version of comic book events. Like you have all your big moments that you wanted. You kind of called out the splash page here where everyone gets their powers back, and yeah, like that's the kind of stuff you want for big dumb fun when it comes to comic books. And and it was totally just pleasing to see that kind of stuff, because that's what this was all leading up to. I feel like they were trying to get DC back to a place where it was kind of like a joyful place for superheroes to live and for us to partake in the adventures that they go on.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, and I love the journey they give certain characters in this, like John and Nightwing, and Oliver. Dude, every time, for all like the amazing superheroes and cool things like the Brainiac Queen and all the visually cool things we had going on in this comic book, I thought Oliver Queen looked the coolest in so many of these pages. Just like I thought Dan Mora, the way he drew him was fantastic, just in his little shield type getup. It really worked for me. So yeah, it was like you said, man, it wasn't like anything revolutionary or groundbreaking. It's not going to go down as their one of their greatest events of all time, but events really aren't what they used to be. They're some of them are almost placeholders, it feels like.
Yeah, well, but I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like this feels like a stepping stone. This feels like
Absolutely
the first event that will lead to a bigger event, which will lead to the even bigger event, right? Especially knowing what we just talked about with DC All In. Bigger things are on the horizon, right? Like, I mean, we know that they're going to be dealing with Darkseid in a big bad way. So,
yeah, I can't wait to see, where all that goes. Darkseid's always been a favorite big bad of mine. So, yeah, Omega Beams are so cool, man. It's just such a cool.
Visually too, they're the only ones that zigzag, and I kind of love
that.
Like
I love
never
it.
see them
you can't run from it. Like once they're out for you, they're out for you. There's no running.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
All right. Well, we spoiled our people here. Let's go ahead and let's jump to our next issue here for DC to talk. No, you're all good, man. It's all right. I was getting ready for it. Let's talk Batman 153, which I guess officially or unofficially is probably the first DC all-in ongoing book that we've gotten so far. And I gotta say, man, like this was probably my favorite issue of Batman proper, man, in probably like 2 arcs at this point. It's been a hot second since I've been excited about an issue of Batman.
I'm right there with you on that one.
Yeah, and this is like the perfect jumping on point for any kind of lapsed readers or new reader. I can't imagine there's a person that's like, let's see what this Batman character is all about. But if you're that person, like this is the issue that's going to kind of draw you in. We see Bruce is kind of in a different place in his life. It's kind of a fresh start for everything. So he doesn't have his riches back necessarily, but he ain't living in the brownstone anymore. He's, he's got his philanthropy organization put together here. He's trying to navigate the landscape of being a different kind of businessman that he was at Wayne Tech. But he's also kind of dealing with the fact that Gotham right now is in a different place, right? And that's kind of like the comic booky trope that we get every once in a while, like, oh, things are great in Gotham. I don't have to stand on the rooftops here because there's no problems, and that just means that problems are like right there on the horizon. But we see the reintroduction of Edward Nygma, the Riddler. And dude, what did you think about this this tech bro version of the Riddler?
I loved it, dude. I absolutely loved it. I loved how like he was like, I'm tired of always trying to outsmart you. It's time I got rich, and I did that very quickly and efficiently. And I love how he's like kind of like stole Victor Freeze's patent for the cooling technology that he's using on his servers. Like basically,
kinda, he did.
Yeah. And I love how he's secretly scheming in the shadows, man. I love this exchange between them. But yeah, it was fantastic. I thought it was a great, and I love how like he's got it like Bruce and Batman have to deal with the fact that Nygma Tech has a huge building in the middle of downtown Gotham that they have to look at, all the time.
Yeah,
like right there.
Exactly, and Bruce is also walking the fine line of knowing everything he knows as Batman, but not being able to reveal everything when he is Bruce Wayne. So it's kind of great. Also, like, I mean, it's hard not to talk about Jorge Jimenez with his artwork,
man.
But let's go back here. I'm sorry. Who is it on colors? Tomei Mori. I love the colors in this book. I think that the choices that they made for the coloring was just like, it was interesting in the best possible way. Like when you look at the green that's cast on Batman right here, it kind of draws away from the actual line that's drawn on there. And I love that it's not just like a flat color palette. I don't know. It makes it stand out.
I love
really,
that flare,
really well.
The flare of purple too, that coming off the cape, like to the right of him, dude. That was one of my favorite moments in the comic. A couple of like, we'll get to it. I think you got it highlighted later on in the comic, but yeah, I thought the way that they chose to either highlight Batman in the foreground or put him in the background in this throughout this book was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and you had called out these this particular part of the speech.
I love that. Yeah, I love
talk
that
to the
little.
People. Why did you call this one out?
I just love a great little Batman quip as he's going out the window. You know what I mean? Stay on the lighted path, Nygma, because I'll be waiting in the dark. Just on brand. That's all. I just loved it.
And that honestly, that was my favorite part of, or I should say, not my favorite part, as in like the page or anything, but my favorite aspect of the book is it feels like Batman the detective, not Batman the dude that goes around punching people. Like it felt like it was a really thoughtful approach to get Batman back down to the street level, because like he doesn't need to be jumping from space and free falling like an asteroid, and he doesn't have to be taking on these unstoppable robots. Have him solve a mystery, dude, and that's what really gets me going. I love this.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
Oh, did we skip? Oh, I forgot my page. Dang it! There's another panel in here that's
dude. Yeah, it's some like the second half of the issue is so heavy, right?
So we have a whole new character that's introduced in here. Captain Commando, some silly comic book name that where a new character is being introduced by Chip here. But there's panels in this book where I love where it's Batman just right out there in the daylight, which is something that we rarely get. But I love the fact that like in a scene of like high danger, he's surrounded by the police, and the police are all not even shaded in red, but they are just like this bright, bold red color all around him as Batman is standing in the foreground, just kind of like in an oh shit stance, ready to pop his smoke pellets to get the heck out of there, because he's the villain basically in that particular scene, which is wild.
Yeah, dude, and I loved Jimenez's character design on that new what is it, Commander car or something like that.
Whatever that, yeah. Did you get vibes of that character that was in the Tynan run from that dude, the guy that got like all his robotic imp?
I think like part of my brain thought it was him for a second. Yeah, what was his what was his name, man? Damn.
See, the fact that we can't remember it is very telling
Right?
of that run.
Dude,
Just throwing that out there.
Tynan was doing a new character like every issue there for a minute with Batman, though. It was crazy. Like it
I don't
was
know,
like
Chalk, man. The designer is going to be the hot new villain. Trust me. Go buy his
because
first appearance.
I usually collect Batman no matter what, and I have all those issues. I remember like around issue 100, you're just like 100, 101. You look in your CLZ and they all have the key. And you're like, why do these all have keys? And it's like the first appearance of boom, 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 like Clown Hunter and Miracle Molly and like et cetera,
Punchline.
et cetera, et cetera. Punchline. Yeah, there was a ton, man. It was like every other Ghostmaker. Like, yeah, it was. I can't believe we can't remember the one we're trying to recall. But yeah, I know exactly.
None of this matters. But hey, it was fun though. We still had that glorious Jorge Jimenez artwork.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the longevity of this run and where it's headed? Do you think how much longer do you think we got Chip on?
Well, Station. I don't know if you heard about this, Bobby, Nick, Station y'all.
What's up, y'all? Station fellas.
So I don't know if you saw this. It's fully in rumor territory right now, but they're saying that Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb are coming back to do Batman. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means a mini series. I don't know if that means the ongoing series. But that it kind of tells me
Jim Lee,
where there's smoke, there's fire. So even if it's not them, maybe Chip's time is done. And like, I'm not going to be sad about that either, because I feel like, God, it's had to have been 2 years at this point, right? That he's had his time on the Bat title. That's a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him posting, I don't know, a while ago. It probably behooved me to look this up now, but like talking him and Jorge were at some con in Spain or Italy or something, and they went out one night after the con, and Chip laid out his whole plan for Miracle Ball. His whole plan for Batman to Jorge, and Jorge got all excited and wanted to draw it. But yeah, I just wonder where we are in the scope of things, man. It just felt like, man, and we talked about this before, but with Failsafe and everything, I thought it started so strong, and then just got, and I felt like when it lost Jorge and it got onto Hawthorne and it just lost, it went somewhere else, and it's kind of been aimless and marred by tie-ins, and I don't know. It's unfortunate because I had such high hopes for that. But dude, Batman seems like everybody's kryptonite, man. Like writing the Batman ongoing is, I don't know. It's like Amazing Spider-Man. Like, is it a job anybody can really do, the way they want to and really write the stories that we want to see? I don't know because it's that book for them. I don't know if it'll ever.
Yeah. Well, they had an editorial change somewhere in the middle of this run too, and I don't know if that had any impact. We always like we're all famous for being like editorial interference. I don't know what it is, but what I do know is that our chat is definitely looking at their freaking key comics in CLZ here, because they're quick to point out we got Miracle Molly, Killer, and the designer. Y'all are going to be millionaires when those comics hit. I'm so glad you guys got the first appearances. Good job, y'all.
Yeah.
All right. What do you say? You want to hop into some indies?
I will say this for Chip real quick, since we're talking about Tinian characters. I think Chip has done the best job with Ghostmaker, man. Like that, the Batman the Night series, like had some really good ghosts. Like I love the interplay between him and Ghostmaker in that series. It's interesting when some of the times that these guys create these characters and other guys just kind of take it and run with it. I think Chip's done. He's written a couple good stories with Ghostmaker.
And yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up too, because I think it got kicked around a little bit, and maybe I'm in the minority here, but I actually really liked what he did with kind of the reconceptualizing of Joker's origin story and how that played into Bruce, and kind of like the whole 0NR and like Joker having his own version and how that tied back into the three Jokers. I gotta say, man, that's heavy lifting, and maybe it didn't hit for everyone, and it's not like it was the most impactful for me, but when you're juggling, when you got that many balls in the air, I think Chip did a pretty admirable job.
I agree. It didn't hit all the way for me, but I think like the fact that he even attempted it and halfway pulled it off is admirable in itself. I completely agree with you. Because like
Absolutely.
that's a big swing. That's a huge swing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
What do we got
Nick
going on?
says,
What's Nick saying?
passing my entire itinerary around down to my daughter so she can catch it.
You
Yeah,
promised me those
definitely.
issues, Nick. Don't bail out on me now, you jerk.
She's gonna be able to
Whatever.
get a third of a textbook, man.
All right, let's see what a nicer person is saying now. Let's see what Sal's up to. Hopefully Jim and Jeff Loeb can put together a lengthy Batman run next year. I don't know, man. Like, do I hope that that's maybe a possibility? Yeah, but I don't got faith that Jim Lee even wants to do that. You're right. And
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Hush didn't hit.
I'm not checking. It didn't. Hush was not the book for me. Like, and Jim Lee's art was great. Don't get me wrong, but like the story was, I don't know. Jeff Loeb has always been it's always been a Tim Sale collaboration. If I'm going to enjoy a Jeff Loeb book, you know what I mean? And
big time.
Yeah, the homie Brandon said that in the back chat. If I was going to recommend a Jeff Loeb book, I'd point you in a million different directions other than Batman Hush. So. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, dude, that's a lot of work for Jim. That's a lot of work. Like any type of 6-issue, like any type of mini 5-6 issue mini. I don't know. He doesn't want all that.
No, there's no way, man. So I guess time will tell. Like I said, if there's smoke, there's fire. We're gonna hear something about that. But until that time comes, let's talk about some indie comics.
Yes, sir.
So the first indie I want to go ahead and highlight here is Skin Police. And dude, this book blew me away. Just like the cover. I'm basically the bloody hole on this cover. It blew me the heck away, right? Dude, I didn't even think I was going to read this issue, and I had a little bit of extra room on the pull, so I was like, I'll give it a shot. We'll see what this is all about. I have no background on Jordan Thomas. I have no background on Daniel Gate. I don't even know if I'm saying his last name correctly. We all know Jason Wordy, right? Because Wordy rocks some colors. But yes, dude, if you love Blade Runner and if you love like Altered Carbon, like this is going to be right up your alley, right? The near future landscape here. And what the story is all about is cloning has been something that has been regularly used in the future, but it's something that's now been outlawed because what they're finding out is that black market clones are being made, and these black market clones ain't quite functioning the way that the tried and true made versions are, and they're going a little bit crazy. But the real mysterious aspect about this is that some of these black market clones don't even know if they are clones or not. So it's like this whole issue is seeped in paranoia because nobody even knows. If you're having a little bit of an anxiety attack sometime in this near future, it could be the fact that you're getting triggered and you're about to pop as one of these, clones. And when they, pop, quote unquote, this panel on the right here is kind of what they're seeing. All of a sudden, they kind of go into this psychosis where everything becomes a demon to them. They're kind of in the fight or flight mode and they're all fighting, right? So all of a sudden, once these things happen, it becomes bloody mayhem for anyone that's in the near vicinity. So what happens is they have basically kind of like Blade Runners, right? And they have the special police force that goes after all of these quote unquote. Do you remember what they call these clones?
Dupes, right? DUP.
Dupes. It is dupes. Okay, yeah. I was like, wait a minute, am I just mixing that up with ecstatics? Okay, no, good. It is dupes. So they go after these dupes and they're able to Blade run the heck out of them, right? So they track them down, they put them down, and they do all their dastardly business. What do we got? Bobby's asking here.
This is what? Is it Oni?
This is an Oni comic book. And this, of all the Oni books that have been coming out recently, this has been, without a shadow of a doubt, my absolute favorite.
Yeah, dude, this one was sick. I felt like Morrison and Quietly. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like dude, it totally does. It kind of reminds me of another kind of book that kind of feels like in that same world, Transmetropolitan. Yeah. It has like Derek Robertson, Jeff Darrow, kind of like it's hyper detailed, but it's not like realistic detailed. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So So the other parts of this book here, like I said, it's seeped in paranoia. So in the middle column here, we can see that there's, there's people that just quite frankly don't even they just don't like people. And so they're calling in little hotline, scoops being like, yeah, I'm pretty sure my stepdaughter is one of these dupes. And I think
Snitching
you
on
got to
their
come
own
take her out.
family. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Snitches get stitches. And apparently you don't know that in the year 2176. But not only that, but you also have, a subset of the populace that are there backing the dupes, right? So like these people, the Blade Runners, which they're kind of quote unquote called the skin police in here, they're not really looked at under the best lights either, man, because there's all kinds of conspiracy theories about what's happening with these dupes. Like they're talking about turning them into food that they're feeding people. They're talking about the fact that these skin police are just mass murderers, which, let's be honest, they kind of are, maybe just a little bit, but wild stuff. Like, I mean, this is just a wild world to live in, right? Because if you're one of these police officers, life ain't good for you. And if you're a dupe, life definitely ain't good for you because you're getting tracked the heck down. So this one, I feel like there's a lot of mysteries still to be solved about this. There's a lot of world building yet to be done, even though this first issue was really effective about building out that world. But I'm sorry, I've been rambling, dude, because I'm so excited about this. What did you think about this issue?
No, I loved it. I'm right there with you, man. And I love what you said about just this being the best book from Oni in a minute, and it's just good to see them put out a fantastic read. But yeah, it was I owe you thanks for this one. You put this one on my radar. I definitely wouldn't have picked up on it otherwise, but it was fantastic. Yeah, I completely agree with your Blade Runner comparison. And I love how there's little bits of the seeds of resistance. Like are these guys really freaking out? Are they getting pushed to it? Can this condition be treated? Can it be suppressed? Can it be medicated? Like there's all that. And I love, like you said there at the end, like, it's interesting to see where the story is going to go as far as the other side of the story. Cause we definitely got to meet all these skin police. And I love I love starting out the issue with the airplane rescue. It was fantastic, dude.
Right? Yeah.
And this guy's it's crazy because they're going after these people who are cloned or whatever, but these guys are modded themselves, right? Because didn't dude's ear get blown off and he was like, oh, don't worry about it, it'll grow back in no time or whatever. You're like, so I don't know. It's like who's really wrong or unclean? It begs that same type of question that Precious Metal does, like I just and I love these I got a soft spot for these sci-fi type books when you're talking about body mods, and it feels like a Cronenberg film, you know what I mean? So
it does, dude. That's a good call. I didn't even think about that, man. Yeah, this totally has Cronenberg vibes to it 100%. It's like if Cronenberg directed Lethal Weapon or something silly.
Yeah,
like that, right?
That's like a good
kind of combination that wouldn't work out.
No, that's dead on though. That's a good call, bro.
Yeah.
Well,
we got a couple more people rocking with us here. Simpleton. Nah, man, you're never late. You're right on time, man. Nice seeing you.
Good to see you.
See here, we got Rogue saying I need to check that one out. Looks cool. Our pleasure, buddy. Always going to give you some good recommendations.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we got Nate saying the same thing. Looks like Jeff Darwart. Yep, that was the first thing that came to mind too, man. It was just like that hyper detailed, like every panel is just like packed to the brim with lines. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see who else we got going with us. Looks like, yeah. All right, cool. We are caught up here. Let's go ahead. Let's hop over to our next indie book that blew us away here. Go ahead, take it.
All right, Image / Ghost Machine, Hyde Street #1, Jeff Johns, Ivan Reyes on art, Brad Anderson on colors, Rob Lay on letters. Another fantastic book from Ghost Machine, who really has yet to miss yet. Great world building. We talked about the little hints in here. There's there's a construction crane with the Rook label on it. There's a kid reading a Junkyard Joe comic. I just love how little bits of little hints of world sharing, I guess you would say, but this is a world unto itself. Kind of the first of its kind for Ghost Machine. I guess the first. I really don't know Jeff Johns to do any horror work. Have you? Or anything?
No, I
yeah,
the only
remotely
thing
in
I've
this
known
realm.
him to do has been superhero, very specifically superhero.
Yeah, so first and foremost, the Ivan Reyes and the artwork is fantastic throughout. Creating these characters, the designs on them. I loved the look for Mr. X-Ray here. And of course, Pranky, the creepy killer Boy Scout kid. But his artwork is incredible throughout. And I just love I love like how dark and anxious it is through like the color palette that Anderson chooses to use. How there's so many close-ups on so many twisted, distorted faces throughout. Nobody really looks happy. And I think it does a great job, setting the mood. But it's not as gory as you would think for a horror comic. There's a little bit, but it's really just kind of a setting up type of thing. We're getting to know a couple of these characters in this world. There's definitely more to come, but Hyde Street essentially is a street in any small town or big city that it's a crossroads, a moral crossroads, I guess, and a place where you can either find damnation or find forgiveness, essentially. And these characters who reside there, I forget what they're called, the part of the collective or something like that. They're under the direction of the scorekeeper. They kind of ferry these souls. They can either choose to kill them, choose to damn them, choose to save them. They can do with them what they wish, right? But essentially, they're keeping score, right? And essentially, the carrot on the stick is enough souls will get them out of Hyde Street or get them the freedom to return back, I guess, to their normal lives or whatever their lives were before this, or who knows, right? Because they all came to be in Hyde Street through various dark circumstances. And I guess it looks like issue 2 is going to set up Pranky's story. Issue 1 sets up Mr. Frederick Xavier Ray here, and we learn about he's a hack salesman selling sea monkeys and X-ray glasses and trying to dupe kids out of money. And he's essentially this poor sap that's worked for him. He's essentially, manipulated that guy and got him hooked on pills and, used him and abused him and kind of drug him along with him. Right. And his daughter shows up and he rebukes his own daughter. And she runs off when he goes to find her. He eventually runs into Pranky, and that's how he finds himself on Hyde Street. But, he confronts Pranky. He wants to work together. He wants to get off Hyde Street. He feels like Pranky's in his way. Pranky doesn't want to hear it. And, I don't know. We're kind of left with the scoreboard here at the end. And we learn that, all these different characters came to be on Hyde Street through different ways. And, if Pranky's racked up 18,000 souls and he's still not free, bro, I don't think, you know what I mean? I don't think there's much redemption for you, but
he's going after that batch for sure.
Yeah. I love how too Pranky's kills show up as badges on his little Boy Scout vest. But yeah, it was it was a solid first issue. It's not my favorite Ghost Machine book, but I thought it was really good, and it definitely has me interested to see where the world goes. I think they're going to do this thing where they introduce characters. Introduce a new character in each of these issues that, and then build out the world a little bit as they do so, which will be cool to see. I'm curious to see some of these names. The Colonist, I wonder if that has ties to Redcoat, you know what I mean? And I wonder if any of these characters are going to cross over, and I just want to see the design on some of them. I'm not really familiar as I am with Ivan Reyes as I am with some of the other artists on Ghost Machine roster. So I don't know really what to expect, but I was blown away with this first issue. Do you know any work that he's known for or famous for?
Yeah, I would say arguably the most famous thing that he's known for is probably going to be Blackest Night.
Okay, so he was like John's guy back.
He was working with Jeff Johns in the past.
Okay, with the Green Lantern stuff and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like this book felt very comic booky to me. Like his artwork, I mean, it pops right off the pages. But you were right. Like it wasn't really horror all that much, you know? Like, and it wasn't
No.
as gory or as brutal as I would have anticipated. The thing that really surprised me about this though is that going into this, I was just like, oh, cool. It's another Ghost Machine book. That means it's going to be tied into Redcoat. That means it's going to be tied into maybe Geiger. And it's not. So, like, at this point, Ghost Machine is basically a new imprint that started within 2024. And we've already got the Geiger universe, which kind of encapsulates Redcoat as well. Rook Exodus, which is totally its own universe as well, separate to that. And now we kind of have this horror. I don't know what the imprint is necessarily called, but we're going to have Hyde Street and then their new book Devour within the horror
Yeah.
part of this universe too.
Who's doing the art on?
Like,
Who's doing the art on Devour? Do you know?
I don't off the top of my head. If you hang tight for me a second, I could find out though.
All right. While you do that, I'll pull up some comments.
While I'm vying for time here, though, yeah, the book was super interesting though. You know, but with with the X-ray vision guy being our hero or quote unquote our hero, it seems. I don't know, man. How did you feel about him being the heroic character? Because I got to say, with some of the things that he did in the issue, like the backstory that we get on him, makes it really kind of difficult to side with homie and like really get behind him after what he did to his daughter.
No, definitely, definitely uneasy, and it was weird too because they set it up with that cool kill scene, you know, with the mother who had poisoned her husband and her kids or whatever, and then it was just like kind of like exposition after that, you know. It was a lot of conversation. So I could have used a little bit more, I guess, you know, gore, you know, I don't know, some I don't want to just say gore, brutality, and blood, but like, you know, I could have used a little bit more of the horror element. You know, it felt like they didn't need to do as. I don't know what the backstory like. I don't feel like you could have cut a couple pages out of Xavier Ray's backstory, and I could have still got, you know, that character conveyed and understood who he was without, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt like it was a little bit overkill, and they could have switched gears and made it a little bit scarier. But Nick says it's Leia is on Devour art.
Yeah, I pulled up, and the writer is Maytal Schultz. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but rest assured, I've never heard of either one of them and the work that they've done. So time will tell. We'll find out if you know, if they can pull through and deliver as effective an issue number one as this one is, at least. So
yeah. What's your favorite Ghost Machine book so far?
Oh man, dude, I feel like I've gone back and forth, man. Like when every issue one had dropped, I feel like I would have said Redcoat because I was really behind that because it was just like way more fun than any issue. And I was really down on Rook Exodus because I was like, man, like I didn't read Power Rangers at Boom Studio. Why am I going to read Power Rangers at Ghost Machine? And I'll be damned if that book didn't turn right around and get me because like by the end, or yeah, I shouldn't say the end, or by current day right now, it's like neck and neck between every single one of them. Like Geiger just had an issue that was totally from the perspective of Geiger's dog. And if you told me that that was going to happen, I probably would have laughed. I'm like, okay, skippable issue. And it wasn't. You should not have skipped that issue by any means because it was one of the most effective books, or I'm sorry, one of the most effective issues. It just blew me away. So it's like, I don't know if I could pick a favorite.
Fair enough, man. Yeah, it's hard, right? Because they've had some bangers. Junkyard Joe, which I was excited to see. They announced that we got a special hardcover edition with a bunch of extras coming out, I think in November. But I think nice. Rook was up there, but dude, Geiger I think is become my number one, man. These last few issues, the fight with the electrician, and then like you said, that Barney issue, and really seeing him like you know, lead that revolution at the zoo, that was just special. That's
what you read vibes from the ape though.
Yeah, for sure.
Amy Love Dog. Amy Love Dog.
Man, Michael Crichton was my childhood, man. How many books that guy like influenced so much of me growing up? But yeah, yeah, it was fantastic, dude. You know, that's why you read comic books. It was such a unique and great story. So yeah, shout out to Ghost Machine.
Yeah, dude, it's almost like a game of like, what have you done for me lately? But in the best way. It's like, what issue came out? Okay, that's my favorite Ghost Machine book. So.
Right?
Yeah, so I ain't mad at it. So keep doing what you're doing, Jeff Johns and team, because we're here for it.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah,
shout out to them.
All right, man. You had an issue that kind of took you by surprise here, man. You want to talk about your book out of the blue?
Yeah, dude, this is unfortunately my shop didn't have this on the shelves until this past week, but this came out actually on I think September 25th. Creepshow featured the first story was by Zdarsky. I forget who was on art. It was pretty cool. First story was okay, but dude, second story by drawn in illustrated, I mean written and illustrated by James Stokoe was freaking Scrimshaw was freaking fantastic, man. Blew me away. About this, you know, this sea creature who has written this magical story on the bones of you know, dead. I don't want to say just dead sailors because it seems like any dead body it comes across on the ocean, and this guy becomes obsessed with the tale that it's writing in these bones and starts sacrificing, you know, humans to the Scrimshaw, you know, to finish the story. He's desperate to see how the story ends. So essentially he gets struck with a case of FOMO and he has to murder to he has to murder to satisfy those urges. But dude, Stokoe's art, we're not even doing it justice here. It's absolutely fantastic. I love his design on this creature made up out of buoys and, you know, fishing nets and just like all these all the trappings of the sea and fishermen. It's fantastic, dude. Yeah, and Scrimshaw, of course, you know, the story, you know, Scrimshaw is, you know, writing etchings in bone and stuff like that, and it's just such a cool play on that, and it feels like just what it is, a horrific sea fable, and it's just got all these brilliant purples and blues, and Stokoe just goes crazy on it, and it just I wasn't even aware of it. You know, I'm a Stokoe fan, somebody who's really come on to you know, come into my frame of reference, and you know, somebody who I'm really checking for more and more these days. Somebody I was asleep on for a long time, but I did not even know this was out there. So yeah, he also did a Martin Morazzo from Ice Cream Man fame did cover A, and then Stokoe did the cover B as well. So yeah, my book out of the blue, definitely Creepshow #1. Yeah, y'all check out that Stokoe story, dude. It's nuts.
Dude, and with how topsy-turvy the new EC imprint is at Oni, maybe this might be the horror anthology to take a peek at then, because that one, what they've been doing is a little bit good, a little bit bad, but it's a lot of hit and miss. This seems pretty enticing, so excellent pick, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man. Definitely recommend it.
Yeah. All right, let's hop over to our next segment here. Let's talk about our covers of the week. This cover, dude, I didn't get a chance to talk about it because there was a lot of issues to talk about, especially with the DC All-In initiative. But man, if there was like a single issue, like something disconnected from all the big stuff going on at DC right now, Plastic Man #2 might have been something I was yammering on about, because this was an awesome issue. But more so than that, the cover on this, the variant cover by Riley Rossmo, is awesome, and it kind of leans into the body horror aspects that Cantwell is playing with inside of that book, and I just love it's kind of like a play on covers, right? But in a sickly, grotesque way. So I kind of love what he was doing here. What covers did you want to go ahead and
the SOS? I love the SOS.
It's on brand, right, for Plastic Man?
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. All right, I'm gonna go. I doubled up, of course, because I'm special and I get 2 covers. That's why.
Wow, I'm shocked. First off, like, whoa. Whoa,
Oh, you're not
what are we doing here with
That's
Dr.
par for the
Doom's fan
course.
club?
Dude, Marco Cicchetto, the Doom Storm variant. I mean, enough said. Absolutely glorious. Ton of Doom variants out there, but this is definitely one worth getting. And then, of course, Wes Craig, we talked about it earlier, doing his all-in variant. Dude, I just love seeing this guy on DC, especially just doing Kirby characters, man. It was fantastic. It was really just made my week, made my month. I hope to see more of it. Dude's doing one of the best books out there in Kaya, so y'all go support Wes Craig.
Yeah, dude, it just goes to show, man, all the stuff that we've talked about today, like, seems like DC is just leaning in on doing things that are just like outside the norm, right? They're just like, let's get wild. Let's just go for it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm here for it, man. It's just so exciting.
Absolutely, man. I think it's fan service. It's educated fan service. I feel like they're, like I said earlier, they're doing a good job, catering to both the old and the new. So shout out to them.
Yeah. So I wanted to spotlight a creator this week here, and it's a little bit outside the norm, but I follow this dude on Instagram, and his artwork has been like super enticing to me since like the day that I stumbled upon it. But I wanted to go ahead and take a second to spotlight James Edward Clark here, because he's got a Kickstarter that's currently going on here for an anthology that he's put together for a book that he's been working on since 2010 called Evil. And if you take a look at the artwork, I love the clean style that he has, and kind of like the interesting color palette that he uses, where it's kind of got an old school feel to it. It's almost like the old printing process, right? Where it's the CMYK, color on top of color. But really interesting stuff. I will go ahead and say, I haven't read it. I have no idea what the heck it's even about. All I do know is that it's billed as a not safe for work kind of book. But so, tread lightly. I don't know if this is going to be Death of Power, not safe for work, or if it's going to be like Black Label, not safe for work. So, buyer beware. But I'm super excited, man. I'm really loving his artwork, and I happen to back it at the commission tier. And what you see there on the left is the commission of a lecture that I had done by James, and he sent me a little pic of it before the show here. And man, I just had to showcase it because I absolutely love what he did with the character of Electra, man. It totally blew me away.
Yeah, I love the hair.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
But if y'all have a second and you're intrigued by the art style here, go check out Kickstarter for Evil and see if it strikes your fancy.
What's his handle on IG? Is it at James Edward Clark?
Yeah, I was gonna say nice and simple. James_Edward_Clark.
Okay.
So go check him out here. Like I said, super clean, super interesting style. And if it's got Next Wave too, like I think it's worth a shout out, man. He's drawing Next Wave. Man. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. Next Wave rules.
Heck yeah. All right. And we kind of alluded to it here. Let's go ahead and talk about the books that came out today that we'll be talking about next week.
Ooh-wee. Man,
hit him with it, dude. Hit him with it.
Well, dude, there's 3 on there that really just all 3 blew me away. Absolute Batman, of course, number 1. Scott Snyder, Nick Dragotta on artwork. Yeah, just a fantastic read, dude. I love that new design of the character and the physicality of that suit. I know Dragotta on artwork was your favorite part. I definitely have to concur with that too. Like, it doesn't get any better, man. Like, yeah, that book delivered on every front to me. Also Precious Metal, number 5. The second to last issue, man. My favorite issue yet. I think we're in the same boat on that one. Yeah. And my favorite artwork from Ian Bertram throughout. That story, that comic has been tops of the tops for 2024. I can't recommend it enough. And then really though, I think this might be my favorite book this week, dude. Ultimates number 5 was freaking fantastic. I was not ready for it. Like, I knew, I was hyped for Absolute Batman and heard a lot of great things. Precious Metal, I knew would probably deliver. I had faith in those books, and they definitely, honored that faith. But Ultimates number 5, it's been great. Don't get me wrong, but man, it just continues to get stronger and stronger to the point where I'm just, I can't not pay attention or shout its praises anymore. So, coming off number 4 with the making of the Ultimate Doom to this one with the Ultimate Hawkeye. Yeah, like these last 2 issues have been besides Avenger Twilight, two of my favorite things from Marvel this year, dude. Seriously, like, and we were talking about it before, but he's out Hickman right now. Like he's so Dennis Camp is doing the Lord's work over there. And it had ties to the Fraction and AHA Hawkeye run and all that. We'll get into it next year. Anyway, I'm going to start rambling and not shutting up. Yeah, but dude, those three absolutely loved them. Can't wait to talk about them. Terminator, I'm also looking forward to reading. Haven't got to that one yet. Declan shall be on that one, and then Sentinels was kind of intriguing. I think it's Packnadel on Sentinels, which kind of piqued my interest.
That's the most enticing thing, right? Is that if you got Packnadel on a book, man, he's got enough goodwill for me that I'm gonna check out what he's got going on here. But overall, X-Men books, man, really are not doing it for me. But I got to give it a shot. I got to see what it's up to.
Yeah, what are you most excited for to talk about and next week?
I mean, I've read a little bit. I did a little bit of heavy lifting today, but I don't know, man. I've been surprised by a couple issues here. I think I'm gonna hold it close to the vest here. I will say that of the books that we've kind of presented here, I've read Absolute Batman, I've read Action Comics, read Precious Metals. I'm sorry, you said this is the second to last issue of Precious Metals?
Yeah, I think it's 5 and 6, right? I think we're stopping at 6.
I think so. What's another way of saying that?
I don't know.
The penultimate issue? Is that right?
It is the penultimate issue, yeah.
It is the penultimate issue. I just wanted to make sure that I couldn't quite remember if that was the case.
Right.
And then I did read the Ultimates as well. And yeah, like I said, I'm gonna keep it close to my vest here, but I have not read a book that was like not pleasing so far. Nothing
it's awesome, dude. Like this is like one of those weeks you love where you're like frothing at the mouth to like sit down and read these comics and they deliver for you. It's exactly what you want. These are the weeks that make it all worth it to me. So yeah, go support your LCS and buy these books, y'all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It makes me more and more excited for next Wednesday when we get to sit down and talk about this stuff here, man. But what you said, we go ahead. Let's talk about what you got going on here for the rest of the week.
Yeah, man. Tomorrow night, catch me on Blood Splatter Chatter at 9:00 Eastern with my homies Link, Fable, and Verno talking Scream, the horror classic of our generation, right? Such a joy to rewatch this one. I encourage everyone to rewatch this one. It is on Max this spooky season, but yeah, catch us for a great conversation about one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
I was going to say arguably the best horror movie of the 90s. I don't even think there's an argument to be made, man. This redefined the entire genre for like a decade. So
yeah, man, it really did.
And it's
such a love letter to the genre. No, not at all. But yeah, well said.
Yeah. And then we both got something coming up here in the very near future, man. So you, I, and Nick from Comic Culture had the pleasure of sitting down and talking to Jim Zub here and have a conversation about all things Conan, right? That's going on in the near future, man, with his new contract that's been coming up and with the Battle of the Black Stone event that kind of ties in all the Robert E. Howard events here. So be on the lookout for this video, this conversation to drop on Nick Comic Culture's channel here within the next couple of days for sure. I can't remember if it was going to be tomorrow, so I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep, but sometime within the next couple of days. Keep your eyes open. Hey, click on the bell for notifications. That's going to help out.
There you go.
Yeah. Other than that, I had my weekly comic book review video that just dropped on Monday here, going over some of the books that we just discussed here tonight. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check that out, do me a solid. Go ahead, give that a watch. If you like it, consider giving me a thumbs up, and I'd appreciate that. But other than that, thank you all so much for joining us here. Let's see, who did we have rocking with us tonight here? We had Bobby, Cheel, we had Sal, Nick, we had Nate, Simpleton, Rogue, all these wonderful people that were hanging with us here for most of this gosh darn show, man. I can't say how much I appreciate every single one of you.
Yep.
Oh, look at this. Look at Nick already putting this video out, man.
Hey,
all right.
Go check us out then.
All of you. Well, yeah, back-to-back videos, man. Thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for kicking it with us here. Now, stop watching us. Go watch that gosh darn interview, man, because it's fantastic. Thank you all for rocking with us, though. I appreciate it so much here. Station, love y'all.
Thanks.
Talk to you next week.
See y'all next week.